Okay, this is the tutorial 07 motion tweening, and this involves tweening some of the properties and the fish. You want a new ActionScript 3.0. Go to the properties, go to edit document properties, make sure that you have the settings correct. So 1280 by 720. And you want it to be 12 frames per second, autosave every 10 minutes. Okay, and I'm going to save, file, save, and this is going to be 07 tutorial. With my initials. Let's fit that in the window. We need to create a new layer, so we're going to go down to the bottom of the timeline and we're going to select the new layer icon. We want to rename these layers, so this will be Swim 2 and this will be Swim. And let's save that again, Command S. Select the swim layer, and I'm going to lock the other one just to make sure. And I'm going to draw an orange goldfish. I'm going to get a nice small brush. I'm going to select no stroke just to make sure. I'm going to select a nice goldfish orange color. And that, I think FF6600 is a good color. And I'm going to get a nice size brush. I don't want it to be too small, I don't want it to be too large. I'm going to come over and put it somewhere up here. I'll change the size when I get around to it. So here we go. Here's a nice goldfish. I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to get a nice black with a smaller brush. And I'm going to draw some detail on here. I'm going to give him some fins and eyes and gills. And I'll give him a little white eyeball. There you go. Nice little goldfish. And I'm going to select that keyframe. And use Align Info to make the width 250 and the height, Align Info, width 250 and the height 110. There he is. And Command S. With my goldfish selected, I'm going to press F8 so I can create a symbol. I'm going to make it a graphic symbol. I'm going to call him Fishy. And I'm going to set the registration to be the point right at the center of the far right. And that way it will be his mouth. Okay. And so here is Fishy. And now I'm going to drag him to the left of frame 1. I'm going to select frame 1. I'm going to select frame 15 and press F5, and that creates a range of frames. If I right click on frame 15, I can go to create Motion Tween, and now I have the capability of moving him. So now I'm going to grab the fish and drag him to the right. There he is. I'm going to save that. And there's the fish. And I can see him swimming from one side to the other. But that's all he does. Very simple. Now, let's click on frame 30 and press F5. That adds a whole nother set of frames. It's already the motion tween because it's in the same layer. It just continues that tween. And all we have to do now is drag him back to the left side of the stage to get him to go back there. And press Command S and Command Return. But he swims backwards. So we have to do something so that he's not swimming backwards. We have to use the motion editor to turn him around. So select a keyframe and go to frame 15. Get the keyframe selected on the timeline. It's the only way the motion editor will allow you to enter it. You have to be on one of the tweens. Motion editor tab. Okay, now let us drag it up so you can see. And in order to see all of the frames in our animation, and we know there's 30 of them, we can enter that information down here. This is the number of frames that you can see. See, it says viewable frames. So we're going to change that to 30 because we want to see the whole range of frames. Now you want to go down to transformation. You want to transform the scale. And you need to put in keyframes. And to put in a keyframe on this motion editor graph, you have to hold down Command and click on the dot. Make sure that you are on the current frame, which is where the playhead is. The red line is the playhead. Command click, and that puts in a keyframe. Now, you want to put in another keyframe on frame 16. So, move the playhead up to frame 16, and you're going to put in another keyframe here. And you want to turn him around. In order to turn him around, what you need to do is you need to change the scale on the X to negative 100%. And then he will be facing the opposite direction. And it shows you the amount of change here. So that is how it graphs it. Now, in order to be perfectly safe, it's best to go to frame 30 and put in another keyframe there without changing anything. So Command click, Command click. And then he turns immediately between frames here. So now if we save this, Command S, go back to the timeline and go to frame 1. So he turns immediately. So let's Command Return and see what that looks like. Now it looks like he's swimming like a fish swims. So that's the first part of this tutorial. Let's lock swim and unlock swim 2. Okay, now we want to do another fish. So let's take this fish from the library, and even though this fish is this fish, basically this fish is an instance, which it means it is referring back to something in the library. And when I pull it down here, this is a second instance. It's not the same fish. It's the same symbol, but it's a different instance of that symbol. So this is a different fish, even though it's the same symbol. This is hard to understand, but that's the way it is. Now this fish is now, since I've dragged him down to the right corner, he's facing the wrong way. So now we want to flip him. Now another way to flip the fish is to use Modify, Transform, Flip Horizontal. And now he's facing the opposite direction. It's still an instance, if you look in the properties, it's an instance of fishy, which is a graphic symbol, and the instance behavior. You can have a different behavior for an instance than you have for your main library symbol. You can change it here. So here's our fish. First, click on frame 30 and F5 to add a range of frames. Now you want to right-click on frame 30 and create a classic tween. Now you see it's not a complete tween because there are dotted lines. That means there isn't a second keyframe there. You need to insert another keyframe. Since you're on frame 30 and since it is a tween, you can drag this fish all the way across. And now it is a complete tween. It has the complete tween arrow there. Now, there are some things you can do with a classic tween that can be very fun. So here we've got our classic tween, and we're going to say, what do we want to change for this tween? Well, let's click on this guy and go to Color Effect. You can tween properties. So you have to select the symbol instance on the stage. Make sure you're on the correct keyframe, but go to the stage, select the symbol instance on the stage, and then you come over to the Properties box. And here's the color effect. And you can choose any of these: brightness, tint, advanced, or alpha. Let's choose tint. Let's click on the tint color box and select a blue color. So click on here, and we're going to select a blue color. Let's select 3366FF. And now you can select how much of the tint you want. And this tells it what percentage it wants to use to replace the colors in the symbol. And I'm going to say I want it to be 100%. And see, that gets rid of all the detail because all the colors are replaced with 100% of blue. And let's Command S to save that. And then let's Command Return to see what that looks like. And you see it gradually changes to a blue color. There you go.